Today, I'm going to make 3 fondue recipes for you that are going to show you just how fast and easy it is to make fondue. The first is a very traditional classic fondue. If you looked up fondue in the dictionary, I'm pretty sure this would be the recipe right next to it. The second is going to be a more contemporary fondue, real familiar. This would be great when you're watching the Super Bowl, Final Four, or snuggling on a couch with your favorite person. The last recipe is going to be an easy and delicious chocolate fondue. Now don't worry about taking notes. We're going to send you all the recipes once we're done with the showing. Let's get going. So this recipe is a very traditional fondue. When you taste this, all of a sudden you're going to feel like you're in the mountains in Switzerland. To get started, let's introduce our ingredients. So first, we have half a pound of grated Swiss cheese. This is half a pound of grated Gruyere cheese. Here we have 1 1/4 cup of Riesling wine. This is 1 tablespoon of real lemon juice. Here we have a garlic clove cut in half with the wrapper off. This is 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. And then finally for flavoring, we have 1 1/2 teaspoons of mustard powder. For the first step of our recipe, we're going to combine all of our cheeses in one bowl. So again, half a pound of Swiss, half a pound of Gruyere. To this, we're going to add our 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now, we're going to mix this up with our hands. The reason we're doing this is that cornstarch is going to help give our final fondue a little bit of body or viscosity. You might remember that from one of our previous videos. Viscosity is just a culinary term for thickness. This is going to help our fondue stick to our dippers. Great, this is all ready. I'm going to move this off to the side. Next step, we're going to prepare our fondue pot. For this recipe, we're going to use the Lugano fondue set from Swissmar. Now you may recall that this was voted the favorite fondue set by Food and Wine magazine in June of last year. The first step to prepare our fondue pot is to take our garlic clove, again cut in half. We're going to rub this all over the inside of our fondue pot. Now sometimes you might take this and you might think, well, I'm just going to mince it up and cook it in the pot that way. But for this recipe, we want a very smooth and velvety end result. We really don't want chunks of garlic floating around in here. What gives garlic its flavor is the juices inside. So that's what we're rubbing all around. Believe me, at the end, you'll be able to taste the garlic. Great. Now we can just throw this away. Now we're going to get ready to build our fondue layers. So I'm going to take my pot and I'm going to put it over a low heat. Now please note that when you're using Swissmar fondue sets, we can use the pot to cook in, and this is the same one we're going to serve in. We're going to add our liquids here. So again, this is our Riesling wine, and here's our lemon juice. We're going to bring this up to a low boil. While we're waiting for that to happen, let me tell you about this pot. This is an enamel-coated cast iron pot. Now, if you're not exactly sure what that is, think of Le Creuset. This is the same premise. Now, we've been doing fondue for a long time at Swissmar, and we have never heard about cracks or chips in these pots. They're extremely high quality. Not only that, but you don't have to use them just for fondue. These pots, because they're enamel-coated cast iron, grab heat, distribute, and retain heat really, really well. So I use these for cooking in my kitchen all the time. Not only that, but they're great to look at. These are a real feature when it comes to Swissmar fondue sets. Now you can see we're starting to get a little boiling. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to grab my cheese. Again, we have about 1 pound of cheese here. Half a pound of Gruyere, half a pound of Swiss, mixed up with the cornstarch. I'm going to take this and I'm going to add it to this Riesling wine. I'm going to do this in increments of about 1/3 at a time because I really want the cheese to melt smoothly as I'm adding it. This whole process is going to take maybe 5, maybe 8 minutes. Okay, so as you can see, our fondue right now is velvety smooth. Oh my gosh, I wish we had smell-o-vision. The smell here is so savory and so comforting. I can't wait to dig into this. Now, because this is a Swissmar fondue set, we can take our pot, take it right to our base to get ready to serve. I've already lit the fire gel, so all I need to do is transfer the pot to the base. To do that, I like to grab a hand towel because sometimes the handle can get a little warm. Now, as accompaniments for this, I'm going really, really classic. We have some bread cubes. I have some cut green apple, a little bit of broccoli, a little bit of cauliflower, And of course, we have a whole bunch of fondue forks so everybody can dive in. So there you go. Very traditional fondue by Swissmar. I hope you try it and I hope you love it. This next recipe is a contemporary spin on fondue. This recipe is perfect if you're watching a football game or just snuggling on the couch watching a movie. We're going to make a beer and cheddar fondue. Let's introduce the ingredients. So first, we have 1 pound of grated cheddar cheese. This here is a 3/4 cup of a lager beer. Here is 2 tablespoons of flour. This is a tablespoon of chopped garlic. For flavoring, we have mustard powder and finally some Worcestershire. Now, the first thing we have to do is take our grated cheddar and we're going to add our flour to it. Now, just like in our other recipe, the flour here is a thickener. It's going to give our final fondue some viscosity or thickness so that it really clings to our dippers. Now, let's get ready to build the base of our fondue. For this recipe, we're going to use the Sierra set from Swissmar. Just like we did with the Lugano, we can work with this set right from the base to the top of the oven. This recipe is actually super easy. There's only 3 steps to it. Step number 1, combine the flour with the cheddar cheese. Step number 2, take all the other ingredients beside the cheese, put them in the pot. So here we have our beer. We're going to add our tablespoon of chopped garlic. Now you'll recognize that in the previous recipe, we didn't use chopped garlic. We actually rubbed the inside of the pot with the garlic just to get the juice. This one, a little more rustic. We don't mind the texture that the garlic's going to bring. Here is our mustard powder. And finally, our Worcestershire. We're going to wait for this to come to a low boil, and then we're going to add our cheese. While we're waiting, let me tell you about the differences between the Sierra set and the Lugano. First, the pot size. The pot on the Sierra is about 1.6 liters. On Lugano, you're looking at 2 liters. Another difference is in the base. The Lugano has a wrought iron base, and here we have this cast iron pedestal that sits on top of a wooden base. Now, I take a look, I see my ingredients are boiling, so let's get ready to add the cheese. Just like before, I'm going to add this in a couple increments, maybe 3 increments. Along the way, I'm going to take a whisk, just make sure that everything is melting and getting nice and smooth. This whole process is going to take maybe 5 minutes. So you can see that our beer and cheddar fondue is super smooth and velvety. It smells delicious. I can't wait to dive into this. Now, let's get ready to serve it. I have already lit the fuel gel here, so I'm going to put the diffuser on top of it. Now, the diffuser rotates a little bit and helps control how hot the fuel gel gets. For right now, I'm going to keep it about half open. I'm going to take the cast iron pedestal, put it on the wooden base, and remember, sometimes these pots get hot, so we want to take a towel, put it up there. For accompaniments, I went super classic. Here we have pretzel bites. These are like little pretzel buns, only smaller. We have Granny Smith apples and some classic veg. Here's broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots. And of course, we have a ton of fondue forks so everybody can dive in. I look forward to you trying this recipe. Thank you very much. This final recipe is a chocolate fondue. Now, I made this exact recipe for my family for a party about 2 weeks ago, and it was the hit of the night. Let's take a look at our ingredients. For this recipe, we only have 4 ingredients. Now, when you have a recipe that has so few components, it's really important that you get the best quality ingredients you can. So let's take a look at our chocolate, for example. Here we have 1 pound of semi-sweet chocolate. If you want, you can go to the grocery store and get a bag of Nestle Toll House semi-sweet chocolate chips. But if you want to splurge and you can find Ghirardelli or some other high-end chocolate, you will definitely be able to taste the difference in the end result. The next ingredient is 2 cups of heavy cream. It's really important that you use heavy cream and not milk in this recipe. The reason is the fat content in cream is much higher than milk, and that's going to help give us a great velvety texture and also give us some shine at the end. Here is 1 tablespoon of vanilla. When I'm baking, I like to use this product, which is vanilla bean paste versus vanilla extract. I find vanilla bean paste has a much more intense flavor, and there's also no alcohol in it. You can find this online or at most higher end grocery stores. The final ingredient is 1 tablespoon of brandy. Directions for this could not be easier. And that is because we are using the Arola electric fondue from Swissmar. To make this chocolate fondue, all you have to do is put all the ingredients in here at one time, set it to a medium-low heat, and wait for everything to melt together. So let's do that. Here is my 1 pound of semi-sweet chocolate. I'm gonna add my 2 cups of heavy cream. Because we're gonna do this over low heat, all this is gonna melt together beautifully. Here's my brandy. And finally, we're gonna add our 1 tablespoon of vanilla. We're gonna mix this up and wait for it to melt together. This is gonna take a few minutes, maybe 5 to 8 minutes. So our chocolate is all melted. If you're a chocolate fan like me, you can appreciate how great it smells in here. I cannot wait to dive into this. So now we're ready to serve. And because we're using the Swissmar Arola set, we can keep this all in one unit. All we have to do is turn it down a little bit and bring out our accompaniments. For those, I went really classic. Of course, everything is good dipped in chocolate, but here are some of my favorites. We have strawberries, bananas, marshmallow, brownie bites, and finally my favorite, pineapple. So there you go. A super easy to make, quick to make, and delicious chocolate fondue made extra easy in the Arola fondue set by Swissmar.